everyone, and welcome to chocolate macaron making with us at Boozy Bakers. With macarons, it's very limited ingredients. So we've got egg whites, there's no yolk in macarons. We've got icing sugar, ground almonds, and caster sugar and cocoa for the chocolate part of the macarons. And then the ganache is simply a bit of cream and chocolate. What it is with macarons that makes them seem difficult is it's all about the technical element. It's how we do it and its texture. So for me, I think what I would say is preparation is key to getting these right. So if I go through what I'm using, you're going to need, I've got a rather large bowl here. You don't need anything as large as this, but ideally a perspex glass ceramic bowl for your egg whites is ideal because it doesn't pick up any grease for your egg whites, so that helps them to become stable. So you're going to need a bowl for that, and then you're going to need a sieve because we're going to be doing a lot of sieving of the ground almonds so that we make them really nice and fine. And we're going to need a bowl for the dry ingredients and another bowl for the ganache, although that's a later bit, so don't worry if you're not prepared for that bit. You're also going to need an electric whisk for your egg whites. For anyone attempting to do it with a manual whisk, you're going to be doing that for quite a while, so I really do recommend an electric whisk. And then lastly, you're going to need a baking sheet, a baking tray, and put some parchment over it. Now, you may have other things. I know someone was saying about a silicone mat with an imprint of a macaron shape. That's fine. We have a macaron tray, a metal tray, that we've used, but actually I find I get better results and they're less likely to stick just piping them onto straight onto parchment. And I gave you a link to a template that we made for the size of your macarons. If you haven't printed that out or you didn't see it, don't worry, just to let you know that the circles are about 1.5 inches in diameter, and we're going to be using that as a guide when it comes to piping out later. And on that note, I know I'm going through everything really quickly, don't worry, because I'm going to keep revisiting it. I've also got a piping bag. Again, it does not need to be as big as this, just a smaller one will do. And if you have a nozzle, great. I've got one here, and it's a bit of a pea-size round tip to it. If you don't have a nozzle of the right size, don't worry, you can just snip a hole in the bottom of your icing bag about the width of a pea. That's what you're looking for. If you don't have an icing bag, you could use something like a Ziploc bag, roll it into a cone shape and cut the end of the corner, or at worst, spoon it. You may not get the same refinement as a piping bag will give you, but you will still get a macaron. So I hope that helps. Is everyone all right, Mr. Boozy Baker?
Yeah, you've got lots of hellos. You've got an ask of what you have to do. We've got hellos from all over the place.
Oh, brilliant.
Watford, Winchester, Devon, Copmanthorpe near York.
Oh, fantastic.
Philippines.
Wow! Hi from the Philippines.
Sussex, Rachel for the first time with us. So.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, if it's your first time with our workshops, please do say hello. We've got loads and loads more of our workshops on our YouTube channel, and we've been doing these all through lockdown, so there's plenty to have a go at. So let's get cracking, and then if you have any questions at all, then do let us know. So first of all, we are going to make our dry mix. So you're going to need your sieve and your just regular bowl, and we're using 50 grams of ground almonds. Now what I do is I sieve the ground almonds first on their own. The reason that I do this is because this will give you a nicer texture overall when you come to pipe if you've got really fine ground almonds. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to sieve it regularly first, and then all the bigger bits we're going to push through with a spoon if we need to. So if you weigh out 50 grams of ground almonds and then just sieve those into your regular bowl.
There's quite a few people who couldn't get hold of ground almonds. They've got flakes. They need to blitz them in a mixer.
Okay, yeah. So if you haven't got that, blitz them in a mixture. I know, in a food processor. I know as well. We had a few people say, "What if you don't want to use ground almonds?" Unfortunately, it's one of those recipes that it is kind of the key ingredient. But I did a bit of research. Some people have used just plain flour before. Other people have said that ground pumpkin seeds works very well. I read about someone using ground white chocolate, but that didn't have the same results. They were quite hollow. I also thought if you wanted to, I wonder if you could omit the ground almonds and just put a little bit more icing sugar, but you're basically making meringues then. But there's nothing wrong with doing that if you really don't want to use the almonds.
Do we need to preheat the oven?
No, so I'm not going to ask you to preheat the oven just because we're going to let them set for a while we make the ganache, and we're putting them on at such a low temperature. It's not needed at the moment. So I will come on to that, I promise. When we've made them, you're going to want to leave them for about half an hour. I will explain that as we go along. But no, don't worry about the oven right now.
Yeah, Gina and Alison have both used ground hazelnut.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, nice to see what other people use. Because we only find out what works by having a go at it, really, don't we?
And Tracy's asked, can you use almond flour, and if so, how much?
So almond flour should be ground almonds, I think. So yeah, same amount, 50 grams. So all I've done there is I've just sieved my ground almonds, and actually they were quite fine, so I've not had to push any through with a spoon. But if you need to, then you can always do that. I'm all bowled out here. I've put far too many in front of me. They're flaked almonds.
Almond flour is just peeled almonds, so there's no skin to it, so ideal for it.
Oh yeah, excellent. Learn something new every day.
Thank you, Beth.
Yeah, thank you.
We get lots of thumbs up.
Excellent. So if you've done that, I'm going to move some bowls out of the way because I'm going to confuse myself. I'm just reusing what I'd measured my almonds out into because I want to re-sieve them without them going all over my worktop. Right. So that's just me putting my almonds back into the sieve. And to that, you're going to want to add 110 grams of icing sugar. So that's going into the sieve rather than straight into the bowl because I want this whole mix to be super, super fine. So at the moment, I've sieved the almonds once, and now I've put it back in the sieve. I'll show you, and I've added 110 grams of icing sugar. And then for those of you that are going to make the chocolate, I've got 10 grams of cocoa. So that's not hot chocolate powder, that's pure cocoa. So it'll give you the best results for your chocolatiness. So all that's in the sieve, and then you just need to sieve all of that into a bowl.
If you can go a little bit slower for those who are still sieving almonds.
No problem at all. Sorry, guys. I won't go any faster. There we go. So those almonds, I've got to say, we tend to keep a supply of, we do bigger quantities of ground almonds that we've processed through to be finer, just because it does take a while, doesn't it? So bear with it. Push through with a spoon if you need to. Once you've got it through the sieve once, the second time's not so bad. And I've got to say, the results that you will get to your macarons, it makes such a difference. So just lots of sieving. That's all we've done is sieved. So the only ingredients we now have left are the eggs, caster sugar, chocolate and cream. Do you need to add a pinch of salt though as well? Just a pinch, but a bit too much there. Then we're going to do nothing with that now. I mean, you can give it a stir to combine it if you don't feel it's combined enough. But you should have a very pale, almost grey looking, but light brown, very fine dry mixture. So if I show you mine, there you go. I did give you the option. Last week we saw a lot of people go, why is it called Boozy Baker Workshops when there's no booze? It's because what we do as a bakery is it has a tipple in it. But for the workshops, that we haven't necessarily done that. But I have given you an option this week with your ganache that you can add a bit of your favourite booze rather than cream or a bit of part and part. So I'll come on to that later. So to the lady drinking her Baileys, you might want to save a little bit of that for your ganache.
We've got a lot of children with us, lots of 10-year-olds with us.
Wow, fantastic, guys.
Nikki's got a 7 and 8-year-old with her.
Brilliant, well done.
Sarah's doing it with 9-year-old daughter Lottie.
Well done, Lottie.
Becky's got 2 children baking along, 10 and 13.
Fantastic. This is really good. I mean, if you can do these, you should be really proud of yourselves.
It's Sarah's little girl who's 3 and helping today. So
oh, well done.
Thank you, Sarah. Phoebe's 9, Anna's 10.
I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. Right. So I'm going to move on to egg whites. So we don't want to use the yolks in this. Now, if you are not so confident with cracking an egg white, I don't know if anyone saw my mum do this. Was it cheese straws? Oh no, roulade. The roulade.
Swiss roll.
We went a bit wrong because my mum was involved and accidentally on like the last egg managed to get egg yolk into the egg whites, much to her horror. So what I would advise is use a little bowl if needs be. So you want to crack your egg halfway down, use your thumbs and prise it apart. And what we're going to do is let the egg whites drip into the bowl, and we're going to juggle the egg yolk between both shells. Now, if it's all gone wrong and you can't control the shells, you could just put your hand out and let the egg yolk sit on your hand and let the white dribble in. It's a bit messier, but it still has the same results. So that's all I'm doing is I'm just juggling and letting the little bits of egg white drip into my bowl. There we go. And then that extra egg yolk, I'm just popping into a separate cup just to keep it. Now, someone did point out, next week we are making Belgian buns with lemon curd filling. They are amazing. You are going to love them. If you want to have a go at making your own lemon curd, we do have a recipe on YouTube and you can use your egg yolks for that. So they're not going to go to waste. Right, so my 1 egg white, I'm going to just pour into my big dish, big bowl. So now I've got an empty cup again to have a go at the second. So at least I'm not going, if I muck it up, I muck up 1 egg, not 2.
Gina actually said, no, what can you use the egg yolks for? She said lemon curd. Is there anything else? You could try custard, but we haven't done a recipe for that yet.
No, we haven't done a custard yet, but you could do a custard. But otherwise, I would definitely suggest a curd. Right, so as you can see, I've got a bit wrong with my shell this time. So I'm going to pinch the shell from the last one, which is bigger, and can cut my yolk more. There we go. And I'm just going to juggle again and get all that egg white out. There we go.
Jenny's given her egg yolks to the dog, so.
Well, there you go. I'm sure he's very happy.
Will the yolks keep? Do they need to freeze them?
Yeah, if you put some cling film over it, they'll be fine for, and put them in the fridge. You should be fine for overnight. I would just recommend that you make a curd shortly, and then the curd will last a good week. Darling, could I have a tea towel, please, for my hands? Thank you. Lovely.
And Carolyn, what's the mayonnaise?
Oh yeah, mayonnaise, alioli. Mm-hmm. Yeah, is that? Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? Oh, hollandaise sauce. There you go, brunch sorted for tomorrow. Make a nice hollandaise sauce with a bit of ham or smoked salmon. Yum.
Gina also remembers making your amazing curd for the lemon meringue pie. Lots of thumbs up.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, I must admit I didn't mean to be that organised, but someone did point out that you will have leftover yolks and then you can use it to make the lemon curd for the Belgian buns. You don't have to. You can go and buy a thing of lemon curd, but if you want to use it up and it's raining and you want to do more baking, that is a great one to do next, and you can find it on YouTube. Right, so I've got 2 egg yolks into my bowl. Now, I'm going to whisk these. I'm not going to add the sugar yet. What I want to do is whisk the egg whites until they are soft peaks, that they're kind of, you'll see they go white, they go fluffy, and then when they come to the top, they kind of fold over a bit. They're just, I'll show you what I mean, and then I will wait so you can have a go. I'm going to get noisy now. There you go, I told you it would be noisy. So you can see that, I'll bring it a bit closer without trying to get too messy, but my meringue is a little bit floppy on the top. It looks a bit foamy. It's definitely holding its shape, but it's just that bit softer and fluffier. What we're going to do when you get past that stage is add the icing sugar, but I'm going to do a little bit more because it feels a bit soft. But if you want to have a go at whisking that, and then I'll take your questions. Oh, go on.
Is it on a fast speed?
Yes, I have got it on a fast speed. There we go. So that is just my soft meringues. So get to that point. And then we're going to add the caster sugar, but gradually. And it's to stop it from weeping. We don't want to have the sugar seeping out of our macarons. So I'm going to wait a minute.
Jenny said, any tips to get them into peaks? We never get them to do meringue, get meringue to do that.
Okay, so glass bowl or ceramic bowl, because it can't withhold moisture like a plastic bowl can. Eggs at room temperature, that can sometimes help. And then it's the stages you do it. So you do the soft peaks first. So it's fluffy. When you hold it up, it kind of curves round. It holds its shape enough, but it's just softer. And then with your sugar, we're going to add it in bits.
You said icing sugar, that's caster.
Sorry, caster sugar. I am terrible.
And
so
how much caster sugar?
It's 30 grams of caster sugar.
What size eggs did you use?
So I use medium. To be honest, I'm a baker that doesn't overly get hung up on the size of eggs, I've got to admit. They're about 60 grams each. It's just your average sized egg. If they're a little bit smaller, if you've got particularly tiny eggs, you can add a third because you're adding just the egg whites. For anyone who wants to get really technical, you're probably looking at about 60 grams of egg whites.
Is a metal bowl okay?
Yes. Yeah. Another good one. Yeah. Anything that doesn't hold on to grease will help you with your egg whites.
Some people are using KitchenAids and stand mixers.
Yeah. No problem with that.
Which might take a little bit longer for some of them.
So I'm going to start adding the caster sugar, and you can see that I'm going to add it probably about 10 grams at a time, so in thirds. for anyone that thought I didn't know my maths, I appreciate I did that in 4 lots. So now you should be able to see that I've got really sharp. Can you see that that is like the meringue is really holding its shape, and it's in points there, really stiff peaks there. So that's what you're looking for.
For those who are asking, it's 30 grams of caster sugar.
30 grams of caster sugar, added bit by bit. I was thinking as well, if you really struggle with your egg whites and they never get like that, try adding a pinch of cream of tartar or a tiny bit, just like a few drops of lemon juice or a vinegar, and that will help stabilise your eggs. I haven't used that for this recipe just because we're dealing with such small amounts. I don't think it's needed, but if you are struggling, then you could try either a pinch of cream of tartar or a few drops of lemon juice or a few drops of vinegar. Just cleaning my whisks as much as I can. Right, I'm just going to pop that over there. So the other thing you can do, this is how much, I mean, I wouldn't suggest this if you're not sure, but you should be able to tip your bowl upside down, and I think that's just a drip of liquid of water from the bottom. But yeah, you should be able to hold it upside down and it won't fall out.
Can you under whisk your mix?
You can certainly do both, under whisk and over whisk. So it's the texture you're looking for. So before you add your caster sugar, you want your mixture to look soft like a cloud. It's going to hold its shape a little bit, but it's softer, it's fluffier. When you start to whisk your caster sugar in gradually, it'll start to become stiffer and shinier. And the minute you've got that, you're fine, you can stop. With your dry mix, I would say add a good size kind of tablespoon to your egg whites, and then we're going to fold that in. Now for anyone, we're not going to stir it because we want to keep the air in it. We're going to, like you're folding a duvet over someone, like we're tucking it in. We're going to lift the mixture from the bottom and fold it over the top. At first it will come across as a bit bizarre because it doesn't feel like it's working, but we just need to loosen the meringue. So scoop round the sides, cut through the mix and fold it over and upwards so we're keeping the air in. Once we've got it a bit looser, we'll add some more. I'll show you mine in a second. Now, consistency-wise, here's my hints and tips. You want to loosen your meringue to a lava-like consistency because we're taught keep the air in to egg white mixes like this. We tend to I know that I used to undermix it, and when you undermix it, you end up with a rougher texture, and they can crack. And also misshapen, so you end up with like a bump in the middle. When you pipe it out, it keeps a bump. What you want to do is mix it a little bit more than that, so that you end up with a ribbon trail in your mix, but it's a little bit more like a thick lava. That's what I want you to envisage. So I'll show you. I've just mixed in a good tablespoon, and you can see hopefully from that it's mixed in a little bit. So now it's loosened a bit. I'm going to add the rest of my mix.
So how much of the mix did you add first of all to the egg?
Just a good tablespoon, and just loosened up that egg white. And now, you can taste the icing sugar as that went in. And now I'm just going to mix the whole lot. At first, you'll think, goodness, this isn't working. I've got too much powder, and it's just caking the egg white. It's not mixing. Just bear with it, and I'll try and show you. I'm going round the mix. Can you see that?
Yeah. Round
the mix. So I'm still making sure that I'm being respectful of the fact it's a very airy, light mixture. So do take it slowly. It just requires a little patience on this. But we will get there. Right, so I'm going to show you at the moment. I've got I wouldn't say that's lava. I think that's a little bit too thick still. It's not trailing. So I'm going to give that a little bit more of a mix up.
It's also been pointed out that the lemon curd recipe is in the cookery book. We've been asked where the link is to that. Please go to Amazon and look for lockdown baking with Boozy Bakers.
I will add the link to the recipe book to our event page. I am working on a second recipe book at the moment. As everything, it just takes that bit longer than I want it to, but I am working on that at the moment. So I will work hard, promise guys. But yeah, Amazon, Lockdown Baking with Boozy Bakers, you will see me on the front cover.
Sue's saying should her oven be on yet?
No, I really wouldn't worry at the moment. So it's getting there. It's a bit thick. What you could do, if you're unsure, is you could do like a tester one. But really, you want the mixture to be like ribbons, that in the next like 20 seconds, it kind of it blends into the rest of the mixture. That's what you're looking for. You don't want it, so if I drop this onto the top of the mixture, I want to see that it moves back into it. I don't want to see it sitting on top and in a solid shape. And we're about there. I'm just going to give it a little bit. Think lava. That's what I've got in my head. Just think lava.
Emma's asking about the cream. Has it been added yet?
No, we're not adding cream to this. The cream is for your ganache. So the only ingredients that should be out now is your cream and your chocolate, which we will come to once we've piped out the macaron shells. Right, so hang on, I've lost it now. You can see now it's much more fluid, thick, but more fluid. So I'm going to go with that. Bear with me.
And how many macarons is this likely to make?
So it's going to make you around 18 macarons.
No pressure on you, but you've got people wanting the second book to be ready by Christmas.
I know. I want it to be ready by Christmas. So I've got the recipes, I've got the photos, I need to write it down. I just want to make sure that it's all right. So I have started and I'm going to get on with it again today, over the weekend, and any moment I have really. So I'm trying my best, guys, I promise.
Beth's confused. Haven't we used the cocoa? We have.
We've used the cocoa, yeah. It's the chocolate that's left. So I happen to have a nozzle, so I'm going to use that in the bottom of my icing bag. What I'm doing is, just to make life easier, I've used a pint glass just to hold my my icing bag. You don't need to do that, but sometimes it's easier than trying to juggle it all.
I'm Rosemary's surprised it doesn't knock the air out.
It does. So that's what I'm saying is, I think with egg whites, when we whisk them up, because we're adding all that air in, we tend with macarons to not want to overmix them because we're trying to keep it all nice and airy. What happens with that is, if you don't mix it enough, you end up with these formations. If you think like a meringue, when you pipe meringue, you end up with that kind of lovely shape at the top, which you want. But with macarons, you want that smooth surface. So you're going to have to mix it a bit more than like your head's telling you is a good idea.
Laura and Louise both have lumpy mixtures. Is there anything to do?
If you have lumpy mixtures, try and work out whether it's, I'll show you now, that's my lava-like consistency. If you have lumpy mixtures, try and work out if it's the texture of your almonds, in which case go with it, don't worry about it, or whether you just need to mix a bit more.
And can you tell me about the piping nozzle again, please? Yeah,
so the piping nozzle, I'm really sorry, I know some bakers are very good at knowing exactly what number piping nozzle it is. I'm not like that. It is about a pea-size hole in the piping nozzle. If you don't have one, don't worry, just cut the tip of a plastic bag in the corner, about a pea-size amount.
Can we use white chocolate for the ganache?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white chocolate, all good. And then if you don't want to use cream, you could swap it out for a Baileys. Or if you're going to use something like rum, I would suggest you do either half water and half rum, or half cream and half rum, because it's very strong. Right, I'm going to show you a little bit. So I've filled my bag with some mixture. I've done a really rubbish job actually of scooping that out. I could do better. I'll do that. Don't like to waste. Can I hand that to you, please?
Yeah. Can you mix with a metal spoon or use a spatula?
Well, as you can see, I'm doing both. If you have a silicone spatula, you can use that. I do like a metal spoon. It's supposed to keep the air in better, but I'm scraping it out with a spatula, so I'm doing a bit of both. Right.
For the chocolate, are you using blocks or crumbs?
So for the chocolates, I'm using little like tiny buttons. If you don't have that, if you've got a bar of dairy milk or something or equivalent, what I would say is you're going to need to chop it up a bit, because we're going to melt it into some hot cream. What are they?
Carrots.
Carrots. There you go. Told you, I'm not the most technical speaking baker there is.
Nikki's having trouble because her kids are helping her fill the piping bag.
You have to just cling on to the memories there. I'm going to show you. Please don't worry. If I'm going too fast, I will repeat. The template. If you don't have one, don't worry. Just go for the same size-ish circles. If you have printed out the template, all I'm going to do is pop it underneath my parchment and place it. In fact, I'm going to do it half and half because I've got enough room. I'm going to place it on underneath. So I'll show you. It's on top of my baking sheet, underneath the parchment. I will pipe on top of that as a guide, and then I will whip the sheet out, and all my macarons will still be on the baking paper, and I can reuse the template on the other side by sliding it across. Once you've got it all in a piping bag, my suggestions are keep your nozzle right up. The best way to get a perfect circle is to keep it central and above, and you want to pipe out until you've got, I don't know, a few millimetres spare either side, I would say. Let me just work on that a bit and give you a bit more advice. I'm not looking to get masses of height, so don't worry if you've got a little bit of blue, like a tiny little blue ring around if you're using the template. If you're not using the template, they're about 1.5 inches. So I'm holding the nozzle above the parchment paper. It's not pressed against it. It's slightly above, but I'm not raising it. So what I'm not doing, if I show you, is if I do that, I don't know if you can see, it will come out and it will look a bit more like a dog poo. You don't want that. You want to hold it within, so it's growing outwards. You want to keep your nozzle inside the mixture that you've piped out. If you have it from a height, it will just do strange things, like thick brown spaghetti. Are we all right?
Yeah. Ask there any chance to be able to zoom in, but
yes.
I'm struggling.
Hang on, I will move. Bear with me.
Where can we get the template from?
So I attached it to the event page as one of the discussion comments to be able to download. So you can do it from that. Otherwise, just do them about 1.5 inches, or what did we say? It was about 3.7 centimetres. Yeah. So can you angle that camera down? Hang on, guys. Is that zoomed in anymore, or do we need to take it off the stick and angle it and bring it?
Right. Can everyone see that okay?
I think it's more the technique that they might be wanting to see.
Which if we take it a bit further forward, they can see.
I think it's more the height. I think it might need to be taken off the stick to get the whole, but we might lose you if we do that.
Yeah.
Hang on, guys. I don't like to disappoint. What I don't advise is doing this to yours because you might have them all spilling around a bit when you move them. Right, is that a bit better?
Yeah.
Right, so I'm taking it from above and I'm keeping the nozzle inside the mixture so it comes outwards, okay? From above. So if I do it like that, it's going to do really, really swirly things. So you want to keep it down inside your mix. And again. And I'm going to stop piping before it reaches the edges of my template, just so it can spread a little bit. But can you see how it's got a point there, but it melts back down? There we go. Like so. And you're just going to keep going with little gaps in between each one so that they can, and you're not going to put these straight in the oven. You're going to leave these to rest to form what we call a skin. What you want, move that back. What you want is there to be like a little film over the top of the macaron. If you put them in straight away, they are more likely to spread out. What you want to do is leave them on the side to form a natural skin, like a dried, it's basically the macarons drying out, and that's what you want. So that's why we haven't put the ovens on straight away, is because we want them to form that skin. Right. So all I'm going to do now is move my template over so I can keep going. Ooh, okay, might have to do that many. Let's keep going. How are we doing? Have we got no comments because everyone's piping?
Yeah, I imagine so. We're getting a few comments. Rosmina's saying you're doing very well, thank you.
Thank you.
So
it's always a bit different when you're doing it to teach rather than just do. So hopefully I'm showing you and sharing a lot of my tips to help you.
Becky used the template, but no two are the same size. Going for a rustic look.
Absolutely. You've got to remember with these, the more you do it, the more you're going to have that kind of regular look, but they still taste the same, guys.
Tracy's are running together. Is the mixture too loose?
It might be if they're running together.
And Rebecca's got wonky macarons.
Nothing wrong with a wonky macaron. There we go. I don't know how many that's just made. Ooh. Just hold on to my
Helen's
paper.
given a tip. If you don't have a printer, you can draw circles with a pencil round a round cutter and then turn the baking paper over.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's a good idea. How many did I make there? 5, 10, 15.
You make 35. Got an odd one.
35 divided by 2 is
17.
17.
With one over. 17
with 1 over. And I probably could have made 1 extra. I feel sad that it's not there. Hang on. Let's freehand 1. There we go. 18. So you can see mine aren't. These 2 that I've done first of all are much bigger than these ones. But that's okay. Now, key to a good macaron is that it needs to have feet. I know that's a really weird thing to say, but if you have a look at this macaron, Mr. Boozy Baker's going to take it from me. You can see it's got like the smooth top and then it's got like that crinkly bit before the filling. That's called the feet. So if you end up with a macaron that has that crinkled look on the bottom of each shell, then you have achieved a true macaron with feet, and that's great. What I would say as well is if you've got a loose mix and you're scared of doing it, then don't. But if you lightly tap, I'm just going to move the bowl away. I'll move a lot of things away. If you lightly tap the mixture, it'll make sure all the air bubbles come to the top. And then if you see any air bubbles, you can pop them cocktail stick actually works better, but if you haven't got that, then anything you have to hand.
A few people worry about how many they've made. Some have made 24.
That's all right.
Michelle's made 19 and a half. Rachel's only made 12. So.
Maybe they're bigger macarons. Enjoy. Don't worry. Don't give yourselves a hard time because you're taking on something that a lot of people are quite fearful of. So we're going to leave those now. I still wouldn't bother putting the... you want to leave them for at least half an hour. And then try one. Just touch your finger to it. If it looks like it's got a skin, put your oven on. And then, so I'll give you the temperatures now though, and I can give them to you again later. When they have got that skin formed and they're ready, put them into the oven at 160 degrees or 150 fan or gas mark 3 and cook them for about 14 to 15 minutes. Now, I have an extra wide tray. If you don't have a big tray and you happen to have them on 2, if you wanted to, you could always put one on first, put them in for 14 minutes, see how they go, and then if you're satisfied with the amount of time, then you know what to do for the second tray. If you think, oh, I've overcooked them in my oven, because all ovens are calibrated a bit differently, then put your second tray on for slightly less time. But 14 to 15 minutes is what you're aiming for.
Okay. And then how long do you have to rest for again?
This is where they're a bit diva-like. It really depends on the humidity and the temperature of your room. Half an hour should suffice, but test them. If it's particularly humid, it might take longer. You can leave them for a couple of hours and it won't matter. So if you've got something else to be doing or you want to go out, you can leave them on the side and it won't hurt them at all. But I would say at least half an hour.
Maxine says her typing is hilarious. And considering the numbers, Lydia's questioned us, some people make biscuits. But we've also got others who are getting up to 41, 55, so there's quite a few.
Okay.
We've got larger amounts.
Okay. So
and Karen said it's a case of practice makes perfect.
It is, absolutely is. I'm hoping I've given you enough comments that even if this time it doesn't work exactly as you want, there's enough there to have another go and go, right, I need to mix it, but I need to mix it a bit more or a bit less, or I need to leave them out for a bit longer. That's what makes macarons special, I think, is that there's a little bit of technical skill in there. But have a go, see how it goes. Right, the only thing, once you've got them all piped out, we're going to make the ganache. Now, I hadn't thought this through because the microwave isn't just behind me anymore. But what you can do is you can either heat your cream and then add your chocolate to it, or if you're really lazy like me, you're going to put the two together and put it in the microwave. I've got 60 ml of double cream. You can use single cream if you want, or as I said, you can replace some of that with something like Bailey's. And I'm adding 60 grams of calibres of chocolate. You don't need to use that kind of chocolate. You could get a dairy milk bar and just grind it, just chop, 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 and add it to your milk. You just want them in smaller pieces so that it melts faster.
Other brands of chocolate are available.
Absolutely. I might just be a little bit obsessed with dairy milk, but I like Galaxy too, and others.
Can you, while I do that in the microwave, can you explain about the feet again?
Yes.
Level 4 in the microwave?
You might need 30 seconds and then 30 seconds again. Mr. Boozy Bakers will be back. He's just gone to microwave. So the feet, if I come over, the feet are these little underneath bits. So if you see the shell on top is nice and smooth, and then underneath you've got these crinkly bits, and those are called the feet. And I've got it on both sides, and it's the bit before the middle. There we go, bring it right over, stretch it, and that's what you aim to get. You won't see it now, you won't see it until they're baked, but when they're baked you should end up with that smooth top and then those little crinkly bottoms to them called the feet. So that's what you aim for. with a macaron. That's how you see it. So I'm just going to wait for my cream and chocolate. So I'm just going to give you those measurements again. I've used 60 ml of cream and I've used 60 grams of, I've used milk chocolate, but you can use dark, you can use white. And as I said, if you want to replace your liquid and use a little bit of an alcohol, then you can. Or if you want to flavour it, you could add a little bit of, say, orange essence to make a bit more chocolate orange flavour. It's entirely up to you. I'm just going to wait for that to return to me. Oh, here he is. Thank you. So that's all just been melted for 2 bursts of 30 seconds in the microwave.
Can you remind them the amounts of each?
Yeah, so it's even amounts. It was 60 ml of cream to 60 grams of chocolate. You don't need to make it boiling hot. You just need to melt them together. We've possibly, it's gone slightly hotter in our microwave. So at the moment I've got a very runny mixture. Don't let that fool you when it comes to ganache. That, when it's cooled down, is going to get thicker. And that will be enough that I can either spoon it or pipe it between my cooled baked macaron shells. So what I wanted to do is show it to you now. If by the time you've baked your macarons, this has gone really stiff, you could just melt it a little bit again, or add a little bit of hot water and give it a mix depending on the consistency. As I said, that's so runny at the moment, you might be tempted to add more chocolate. Don't, because it's still hot and you need that to be a cool temperature to be able to use it.
Right, plenty of questions now.
Oh, lots of questions, I'm sure. Go on.
Right, so if you want to coffee filling, can you just use cream and Baileys?
So if you want to do cream and Baileys, yes you can, but please bear in mind that it'll dissolve your macaron quite quickly, so you're going to want to pop that in between your macarons just before you serve them.
Is your oven a professional oven? Does this make a difference in cooking?
No, they're not actually. We've just had them installed. They are extra large, but they're not professional. And to be honest, the ones I had before weren't either. So no, it doesn't make any difference. I would suggest a nice even bake. Put it in the middle of your oven. Depends on your oven as well. If you've got a particularly older oven that you know it catches at the back, it makes them slightly browner, then rotate your tray halfway through. If you've got a nice even bake and you trust your oven, great. If, I know that I've had an oven before, and it always cooked things way more aggressively than I needed it to. So if that's your oven, just turn it down 5-10 degrees and just cook them at a lower temperature.
How long do you bake for?
Bake for between about 14-15 minutes.
Tracy's has nearly all run together. Is there such a thing as a macaron bar? There should be.
Well, there should be now, Tracy. Yeah, I'd go with it.
They've asked how long in the microwave. I did that for about 50 seconds.
Okay, so 50 seconds, and to be honest, ours is 1,000 watt, isn't it, that you probably put it on for. You could probably do 30 seconds, give it a mix, and then if it needs longer, do another 15-30 seconds.
If you wanted to make different coloured macarons, what do you substitute cocoa powder with?
So if you wanted a different colour, then just put some gel in it. Just put some food gel and choose your colour. And mix it into your egg whites or with the almonds and icing sugar.
Can you replace the cream with all Baileys?
Wow, I think that's more of like a dipping, isn't it? Dip it into the Baileys. You could do that. Oh, I see. The cream.
Yeah.
Not the chocolate.
No, the cream.
Yeah, you can. It will work. Sorry, I'm thinking all Baileys middle. I'm like, that's too thin. Yeah. So you can do 60 ml of Baileys, 60 ml of chocolate. That's no problem. I just advise with rum to water it down a bit because it's really strong. But Baileys you should be fine with.
Can I use leftover chocolate buttercream to fill them?
Yes, you can. Again, just be aware you've got more moisture. It doesn't set like a ganache, so probably fill them, ready to eat them. I'd love to see your results, by the way, as well. So do feel free to post your photos and let us know how you did. But really, once these are baked, leave them to cool on the tray until they've gone slightly harder. But that takes such a small amount of time. And then you can pipe on your ganache. If you find that your ganache is still runny in half an hour, then you can add more chocolate and melt it up again and thicken it. But I'm hoping that that should be fine for you. That should be the right texture, that it's soft enough that you can spoon on and then sandwich them together.
Holly's asked where you can get a large flat tray from. Ours comes from Denby, but you've got to make sure it does fit your oven.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I bought these beautiful trays and they are 14 inches wide and they're from Denby and I do love them. They're very nice, but they didn't fit the last oven. So they fit this oven now, which is great. I can use them. But yeah, you can pick them up in most places. I'd imagine I do love a bit of TK Maxx shopping for my baking tins. So just have a shop around, really. What else? buymeacoffee.com, is it? If you have really, really enjoyed the workshop and you would like to buy us a drink, it's not compulsory, but we have got a page on buymeacoffee.com where you can buy a virtual drink for us. As I said, it's not compulsory, it's not expected, but we have put the link up and it's just there if you would like it. If you don't worry, just enjoy your macarons and come again next week. We'd love to have you. Is that it, Mr. Boozy Baker?
I've got a lot of questions.
Oh, loads of questions. Go for it.
Karen's used 74% cocoa chocolate and it's bitter. Shall she add ice and sugar?
You could do, yeah.
I personally like the darker.
Yeah, I know. Mr. Boozy Baker would love that. But if you're... And the cream will soften that a little bit. But otherwise, yeah, you could just add a little bit of sugar to sweeten it.
Sarah put coffee in theirs. Will this affect the stiffness of the cream? If it does,
No.
is there any way we can make it thicker?
No. Oh, I see. You've put liquid coffee into the cream. Only if you've put excessive amounts. What I would do is whip your cream up and then refrigerate it, and that will make it quite a bit harder. So that's what I would do.
Single or double cream?
If you're not whipping it up and you're just using it for your ganache, you can use either. We've used double. I tend to keep double in just because it's more versatile, but single's fine.
When do we add the Baileys?
So add the Baileys instead of the cream, or do in part with cream. So you could do 30 Baileys, 30 cream, and the chocolate, and microwave.
Can you say the temperature for the oven again, please?
Yeah, so that's 160 Celsius or 150 fan or gas mark 3.
Sue's ganache is thick and got oil in it. That might be from the chocolate.
Okay, so if your ganache looks oily, it might be because it's not quite come together yet. So keep giving it a stir, and as it thickens, the oil should go back into the mix. If it's already thick, you might want to put just a tad of hot boiling water or a bit more hot cream into it, just to thin it down a bit.
It's the tempering, isn't it, of chocolate?
It is the tempering of chocolate. So if I've ever made a big batch, particularly when I've done white chocolate, I heat it up and I mix it together and I end up with like a film of oil on the top. And all I need to do is just be patient with it, let it cool down, let it start to thicken up a bit, and then whisk it back in and it's fine.
How do you know when they're done?
The macarons, they will feel firm on the shell. They'll feel like they've hardened on the shell. To be honest, because they're chocolate, you can't tell how cooked they are as much as if you were doing a white meringue. Be careful if you're not doing chocolate that you don't discolour them. But they don't take very long. So unless they're soft on the top, if they've got a hard crust, a hard shell, then they're fine. They're done. The other thing, sorry, Mr. Boozy Baker went to talk and I just thought, if you take them off of the parchment and they're sticking onto it, they might need a bit longer.
Lots of thank yous from everyone.
You're very welcome.
Those questions as well.
No, sorry, I don't know how long we've taken. It's been quite a long workshop. possibly because of the amount of technical questions and going through it all. I hope you get really good results. I would love to see how they turn out. Please do let us know. If you're new, come and join us next week. Very different next week when we do a more of a bread recipe. And do have a look at our other workshops on YouTube. And there's lots on there. Pizza making, scones, biscuits, triple chocolate cookies, ravioli, bread, there's cakes, there's loads. So do go and take a look and have a go at a few others.
Can they do anything with ones which are stuck together?
Ones that's
or merged together?
Oh yeah, just cook them. Just bake them. And then you could always, whilst they've just come out, you could always try to get a knife and just separate them a bit. But don't worry too much. Just enjoy them for what they are, and then have a go another time, and maybe just don't mix as much. It's just a bit of practice makes perfect, but they will still taste lovely, I'm sure. But I think that's it, guys. Just give it a bit of time, pop them in, and yeah, have a go, see what they come out like. Kids, really, really impressed with you for having a go at today's. Particularly if it's your first time, you've probably joined us on one of the hardest ones. So really well done, and come back next week and join us for Belgian buns because they're so tasty. You won't want to go to a bakery again. So that's it from us. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and enjoy your macarons. Bye guys.